Hi all, welcome to i-tutor Academy. In today's session, we will start with the unit 10 of Mmpc 009, that is work and job design. Okay, so objectives of this unit are related the reason and objectives for studying work design, identify the need for an integrated approach to work design, understand that work study is one of the productive improvement technique chosen for the achieving uh, uh, objectives of work design, and realize that the approach is essentially a scientific systematic method of problem solving, and conduct method studies and time studies and work sampling with a fair degree of confidence, detect certain factors that have not found a place in this unit, though they are also of prime important to work design, and realize that the concept discussed in this the unit are not necessarily restricted only to manufacturing the situation, and establish the complementary nature of job design to work design, understand the relevance and the importance of ergonomics and human engineering to job design, realize the need for considering the appropriate design consideration for improving productivity, and realize the need for providing a good environment and a workplace, and realize the need for providing appropriate rest pause during work hours, understand the relevance and importance of behavioral dimension of job design, identify the need for adopting a social or technical approach to job design, and appreciate that appropriate work and job design together would go a long way in realizing a better quality of life. One is introduction to work design, the work study approach, method study, work measurement, work study application, introduction to job design, design factors, environmental factors, organizational factors, and behavior dimension of job design, socio-technical approach to job design, and summary, keyword section, self-assessment exercise also in this chapter. So, first of all, there is an introduction to work design. Work design is a systematic investigation of contemplated and present work to formulate through the ideal system concept, and the easiest and most effective technique for achieving necessary goal, and job design is a function of specifying the work activity of an individual or group in an organization to develop job structure meeting the need of the organization and satisfying the job holders personal requirement. And for most of us, work is a major source of economic livelihood and human enrichment. Everyone works. The attitude towards work held by various individuals and different societies keeps changing at the various time in human history. And in defining the work system, we could set boundaries to what must be effectively and efficiently managed. A work system brings together technical competence in the form of people and equipment to achieve the organization objectives, and work design is concerned with the study and design of work system in any type of organization or institution. And historical trend in the management of work from the beginning of mankind, individual or group of individual have engaged themselves in a multitude of activities with a progressive degree of sophistication and ingenuity to satisfy their basic needs and wants. And over the years, the effort has been to provide work and time saving devices, some of which have resulted from flashes of genuine and long experience rather than from any degree of systematic study of work. And the scientific method of work design produced its greatest achievements in the mass production assembly lines of the post World War I phase, and man was viewed as an extension of the machine, or rather as an element or cog in a complex production system dominated by costly equipment. And the primary emphasis was on profit, concern for streamlining operations, eliminating waste, and financially motivating the workers to increase output and productivity. And industrial engineers employed a machine theory of man to study and design work, and concentrating primarily on the technological side of work, resulting in a highly standardized, economically efficient form of work. On the other hand, the social scientists were equally concerned with the work design aspect from the behavioral angle. And technologically, the work is seen in terms of the tools, techniques, and method used for production finished goods. Economically, work has come to be associated with the paid employment. And work designed for increased productivity. The continued progress of any enterprise is dependent on its ability to optimally and judiciously allocate and utilize its resource so as to provide desired product and or service at the right time, place, price, quality and quantity to the community. And this require an integrated approach. Efficiently and effectiveness spring from unity of purpose and the application of the right play principles to a given situation. And the effort of any enterprise should be to raise productivity and reduce wastage, and so as to ensure a higher standard of living, greater purchasing power, and an enhanced human dignity. And this total spiral pattern of movement would hopefully lead to a better quality of life. And Taylor had illustrated that high level of productivity result in more quality goods at a lower cost, which is the basis for lower prices, higher purchasing power and real earnings, improvement in working and living conditions, and sometimes even shorter working hours, and hence perhaps more leisure. Okay. And all organizations need increased productivity. They must continually seek better and less expensive way to perform their function task if they hope to survive in an increasingly competitive and quality conscious economy. And the work system design, the work problem do not exist without work, and work does not exist without the desire to render a service or manufacture a product which is needed by some one or somewhere at some time. Certain resources like men, machine, material, money, methods, and management are to be so organized as to produce the desired output effectively and efficiently. And work problems usually originate within the individual workstation. And however, the man material machine combination, which is at the center of almost every work problem and is only a part of the entire organization or work system, which itself is a part of yet a larger super system. And most work system or subsystem are essentially open system. Therefore, there is a great deal of complexity in the force of interaction and reaction, and the magnitude of this force is determined by the value structure associated with the work system, and the quantifiability and even adequate identification of these forces is rather difficult. And the system conceptualization is ideal but sometimes impracticable. In addition to system is the method, which is also important in work design. And in fact, work design is the systematic investigation of contemplated and present work system to formulate through the ideal system concept and the easiest and most effective system and method for achieving necessary functions, goals, purposes. And Nadler proposed the following five work design assumptions or philosophies. And increasing productivity and developing manpower effectiveness are the objective for studying work system. And work system can be encountered in three states or condition: design, betterment, and improvement. And all aspects of the work system, regardless of the system level, are to be considered in works design. And people, their abilities and talents and are an integral part of work design. This results from the recognition that people at all levels can really understand many of even the most involved techniques and situations. Okay. And among the numerous techniques available for enhancing productivity, one is work study, which is perhaps one of the most popularly used technique. Okay. So next is the work study approach. What are the work study approach? Work study is indeed an important tool for achieving higher productivity efficiency of an organization in a scientific manner. And work study is a generic term for those techniques, particularly method study and work measurement, which are used in the examination of human work in all its context. And which lead systematically to the investigation of all the facts which affect the efficiency and economy of the situation being reviewed in order to effect improvement. Method study, the systematic recording and critical examination of existing and proposed way of doing work as a means of developing and applying easier and more effective method and reducing cost. And work measurement, the application of techniques designed to establish the time for a qualified worker to carry out a specific job at a defined level of performance. And the main objective of work study is to improve the effectiveness of important parameters of production such as men, machine and method. And method study and work measurement are closely linked. Method study is concerned with the reduction of the work content of the operation, while work measurement is concerned with the investigation and reduction of the ineffective time and the subsequent establishment of time standard for the operation on the basis of the work content as established by method study. Usually, a method study should precede work measurement, however, when time standards for output are being set. And it is often necessary to use one of the work measurement technique like a work sampling in order to determine where ineffective time is occurring and its extent to, so that the management action can be taken to eliminate it even before going in for method study. And equally, on the other hand, the time study may be used to compare the effectiveness of alternative methods. And the basic work study procedures are: there is select, then record, then examine, then develop, then measure, define, install and maintain. This is the basic work study procedure. Okay. And next is method study. And you will recall from the previous section that the technique of method study aim essentially to do three things. One is reveal and analyze fully the fact concerning any situation, then examine the fact critically and develop from the examination of facts the best possible answer under the circumstances. Okay. And the finding of method study should definitely result in better utilization of manpower and other tangible resources. It would also have identified bottleneck activities and initiated necessary action to minimize and, if not totally, eliminate the bottleneck. And however, while making suggestions for improvement, economy in human effort, the reduction of unnecessary fatigue, and the development of a better physical working environment should be taken note of. And some of these aspects have been discussed in the following unit on job designs. And method study in its generalized field of activity can also be termed as work simplification, and the following section deal with it in a definite and ordered sequences of different definite and ordered sequences of different stages as under: identification, record, examination, development and installation. Identification, as mentioned above, the first stage is the selection of work to be studied, which is primarily based on economic consideration and technical consideration and human consideration. Okay. So here is one table, that is conventional system and definition of activities used in work analysis. Please refer from your Ignore study material. There is operation, transportation and symbol, also standard symbols are here, and definition of activities here. Please read from your Ignore study material. So this is a symbol of operation and this is definition of operation. Then transportation, inspection, D for delay, and storage symbol is like this, and combined activity. Okay, so please go from your Ignore study material, unit 10 of MMBZ 009. And recording, with when a job has been selected, the detail and extent of the investigation decided, the systematic analysis of the work is begun. A record is to be made of all the relevant facts relating to the present method, which would have to be subjected to a critical examination. But before that, let us discuss the model of sequences or flow of work in which the best understood by most persons when presented pictorially. And the need for graphical method or chart is there. One is chronological sequence analysis, and so this is the operation process of chart analysis. Okay. And next is an operation or outline process chart is there. And this is figure 2 is the one of the giving an overall picture of by recording in a sequence only the main operation and the inspection. Okay, so use your study material also parallelly this video. And a more detailed type highly developed version of process chart is flow process chart, which is a graphical representation of the chronological sequence of whole operation, transportation, inspection, delay and storage occurring during a process or procedure, and include information considered desirable for analysis such as time required and distance moved, etc. And there could be the following type of flow process chart is one is material or product type. Figure 3 is there. So this is flow process of material. And man type, which record what the worker or operator does, and equipment type, which record how the equipment is used, and the equipment type chart is similar to the product or material type chart. Okay, and then there could also be two-handed process chart, then in which the activity of the worker, operators and hands or limbs and recorded chronologically to one another. And somewhat similar to the above type of chart are the multiple activity. Figure 5 is there, and 4 also two-handed, where the activity of more than one subject, that is worker, machine or equipment, are recorded on a common time scale to show their interrelationship. And movement and flow of activities process charting help to visualize the sequence of events in a situation, but it cannot illustrate the pattern of movement that men, material and tools have to follow when a job is being done. Here we find that certain type of diagram are helpful to indicate visually the path of movement. Okay, so here is left hand right hand process chart is here. Okay, and next is man machine activity chart, multiple activity chart, and the flow diagram is here, and the string diagram is here, and examination. After record come examination. In method study, problem are typically solved by examining critically and systematically the facts that have been collected and recorded in some form of process chart. And close examination of the event activity in any working situation usually reveal a number of key stages in the progress of job. Okay, and perhaps the best non-standard approach to examine is the critical examination technique proposed and used by ICT, that is Imperial Chemical Industry Limited in UK. And primary, the first stage of questioning technique, which queries the fundamental need for the performance, place, sequence, person and mean of every activity recorded, and seeks a reason for each reply. And secondary, the second stage of the questioning technique, whereby the answer to the primary question are subjected to further scrutiny to determine whether possible alternatives of place, sequence, person and or means are practicable and preferable as a means of improvement over the existing method. And let us take a common problem for critical examination that is faced daily at homes, the job of washing up after a meal. And if this be the key activity or do operation, there are the set of make ready activity, like removing used plates from the dining table, carrying them off to the wash basin in the kitchen, filling bowl with lukewarm water, etc. The put away activities would be drying dishes after washing, moving dishes after washing to draining board, and inspection of the dishes after washing, etc. It should be fairly obvious to you that the most important key activity of the whole process is the do operation of washing the dishes. Okay, so and purpose primary, what is the purpose and what is achieved, and purpose secondary is there, what else could be done. And in order to bring the do operation into greater focus, the place, sequence, person and means aspect are considered next. Place primary, where is it done, and place secondary, sequence primary and sequence secondary is there, and person primary and person secondary is there. Then is there is development. After developing the alternative and their consequences, a final selection based on appropriate criteria is done in order to develop a new method. And installation after development. And so now you have reached the final stage of method study, that is installation can be divided into 5 stages. One is gain acceptance of change by departmental supervision. gain approval of change by works and general management, gain acceptance of change by workers involved and their representative, retain that workers to operate new method, continual monitoring of whether or not the new method is being used. Okay, and the last phase is in fact a function of the maintenance stage, and casual changes in method may arise for a variety of reasons, and they need to be monitored and reviewed by work study analysis in an imperial manner. And the section that will follow, we focus our attention to the other component of work study, namely work measurement. Okay, so this is about today's section, and the further section we will discuss on next video. And for more MBA series, you just do like, share and subscribe our channel. Thank you so much.
i-tutor Academy presents Ignoumba MBA complete syllabus coverage classes for individual students, semester-wise subject with online and flexible timing. For more details, contact on +916 238 217885.